I'm here to show you how you can easily convert your Google Slides presentations or your flip charts into a presentation model called Pear Deck. This one specifically talks about unit rates through the modalities of tables and double number lines, but you can use this for anything within your curriculum. So what I did was I just opened a blank Google Slides presentation, and the way that you get Pear Deck is you have to go to Add-ons, Get Add-ons, and then you simply just search Pear Deck. It's right here, and it is a free service. I think you just might have to sign up for it. So once you have Pear Deck launched, you simply go through and create all of your slides, and it allows you to either add specific templates that they seem fit to be for the beginning, the middle, and the end of the lesson, or you can just convert your slides so students enter text, choice, number, website, drawing, and draggable. So what I did was, since I knew that this first slide was going to be at the beginning of my lesson, I went here and I clicked text slide. And this was just a cute little graphic that Pear Deck applied to the slide for me. I simply typed in the question that I want my students to answer for their warm-up, and then when students are presented with this slide, they will have an opportunity to type in their answer. The next slide is simply based from the flip chart, just like you would see it if I was presenting this through a flip chart. All I did was I went to my flip chart, took a screenshot of it, and set this image as my background. The reason why I like setting it as my background is if I were to send this to my students as a Google slide, having it as a background doesn't allow them to move or manipulate it. It just stays put. But real quick, the way that you do that is you go to Background, Image, Choose, and then you simply select the file from your computer. So this would be the first activity that I have my students do. Again, this is simply just a screenshot from my flip chart. I set it as a background, and what I ideally want my students to do is to fill in the missing boxes. So if you look here, I want them to answer each one of these missing boxes within the table. So the way that I do this through Pear Deck is, again, I set this image as my background, and I want my students to type in their answers, or they could draw in their answers. So all I did was I came down here and I select the draw feature. The great thing about the draw feature is it does give the students to draw in their answers or type in their answers. If you're using a Chromebook, I highly suggest you use the typing feature because the drawing can get a little sloppy and is a little harder to read. I use this feature just like how I did for these next few questions. Again, I set the background as a screenshot and I applied the draw feature on top of it for a couple of these slides. The other great thing that Pear Deck does is it allows for easy formative assessments of your students. So this was actually a slide that Pear Deck created for me, and this was a during the lesson, and it's a draggable slide. So when the students see this, there's going to be a blue dot up here, and they simply place it kind of along an imaginary slide right here as to where they feel they are with this lesson and with this concept. So once I have all my Google Slides done, I simply go over here and click Present with Pear Deck. It does take a minute to convert from a Google Slide presentation to a Pear Deck, so I simply went ahead and converted it ahead of time. Just know that it does take a minute, so you might want to do that before students come in. So with Pear Deck, you do have two options. You can either present it as a live view, which is what this would project on the screen, and kind of work through the slides as a class, similar to Nearpod if you're familiar with that. So I could simply just have this projected and I would click through, obviously not this fast, but students would see on their screen what they are seeing on the board. The other option is that I like to use a little bit more is you can go over here and hit, I have it started, but it would say turn on student paste. So what that allows students to do is you can send the link that it gives you through Google Classroom, through My MCPS Classroom, whichever you're using or you prefer, and students can go through the slides at their own pace, and this is how they would enter their answers. So again, when I was showing you how I created this on the Google Slides, this is where students would type in their answer to this question. There is no Pear Deck feature on this. This was just a picture. I just wanted them to be able to see, read, and view the objective and the agenda. So this is where I was telling you about how they can either draw in their answers or type in their answers. And of course, all the students are going to love all the colors that come with it. So if I wanted to type in my answer, I would select the text and simply type in my answer here. And then I can do multiple answers, multiple text boxes, and you can move it once you've entered your answers, just make it line up a little bit neater. And you can do the same thing here, and here, and here. And then this is the formative that I was telling you about. So they drag this blue dot and they say, you know, I feel pretty comfortable, I'm going to place it over here. Or they might not feel comfortable, so they can place it here. When they are done, and the great thing is there's no submit button, it automatically collects the student responses. So if I were to turn off the student paced model, I can click through and actually see students' answers. So here were the answers that I typed in. It's only showing one slide because I'm the only one working on this Pear Deck at this time. If you were to do this with your class, you could scroll through and see every single student's response. The great thing is as you're presenting this, like if this were projected on the screen, it doesn't show the students' names, so it has that anonymous feature, so students don't feel like they're being called out if they have a wrong answer. This would be a great thing to display maybe a wrong answer so you can talk about it and help everyone find the correct answer. And then with the formative, again, if I were to show my student response, again, since I'm the only one doing this, there's only one dot on there, but as more people answer this and more people place their blue dot along this slide, it will show all the blue dots. So for instance, if there's a lot of blue dots over here, you know you're ready to move on with the next concept and you can move on. However, if you're seeing a lot of blue dots in this side of the screen, it might tell you that you need to go back and do some reteaching or small group teaching depending on the student responses. So that's Pear Deck, and it's very easy. I really like the feature that it's, you know, pretty simple to just convert from a flip chart or a pre-existing Google Slides and insert these features.